It's been 24 hours since that gaffe that we've been referring to where he couldn't say what the jobless or the cash rates were. I suggested to Andrew that it looks like that embarrassing moment has again dominated the second full day of campaigning as well.
That's absolutely right, Kieran. And there was a small gaffe again from Anthony Albanese. Maybe too honest. As a journalist, you like to see a bit of honesty. We totally do. So should the public. But politically, he had to admit that he didn't know who the Australian Human Rights Commissioner was. And of course, that's a federal body. But let's have a look at this effect on Anthony Albanese's campaign. And you can see that in some of the front pages. The Australian, that image of him tripping and that question from me on the national unemployment rate and his tongue being out, becoming totally tongue-tied. The Daily Telegraph and the West Australian having the image of the cheat sheet that Albanese needs. Quite good front pages this. Here's the cost of living, the inflation, the tax rate and so forth. This is what you need to know, Albo, if you are going to win this election. And a cartoon too from the News Corp papers, I think the Daily Telegraph, showing a Formula One type situation. Of course, we just had the F1 in Melbourne and Anthony Albanese crashing on the first corner. And let's face it, he did. However, he was generally stronger today. His mantra, when I asked him about how demoralising it had been for his campaign, with many believing it could be election turning, was he's going to, well, he quoted Taylor Swift and John Howard.
Mr Albanese, yesterday was a demoralising day, I guess, for your campaign. You've seen the newspaper treatment of it this morning. Do you concede that you've got less chance of winning the election today than 2 days ago?
Look, yesterday I made a mistake, and guess what? I fessed up to it. And you probably made a mistake from time to time, Andrew. I quoted the Ramones on day one of the campaign, so here's a Taylor Swift comment for you. My theory is, shake it off.
Well, the children's hearing loss announcement yesterday, which didn't get any sort of publicity compared to Anthony Albanese's gaffes here in Launceston. He mentioned that he'd met a young child with hearing difficulties, Frankie, and a new excuse from Anthony Albanese here after his excuses yesterday. He got figures muddled up. It was the emotion of the occasion, he said, that it also affected him.
We dealt with the young Frankie, and I had the issue of children's health, hearing and all of those issues in my head.
And here's Anthony Albanese essentially admitting that he doesn't know who the Human Rights Commissioner is. Lorraine Findlay, appointed by the government last November. He did it in answer to a question on what Labor would do in terms of her position.
Sorry, at the risk of creating a headline here, I don't know who Ms Findlay is.
She's been the Human Rights Commissioner since the end of last year. Have you heard the recent news about the Human Rights Commissioner?
No, I haven't. So, you know, we'll have a look at that.
At the risk of creating a headline, he says, and of course he's been doing that for all the wrong reasons early in this campaign. He went on the attack here. They say attack's the best form of defence in politics. You do wonder if the petrol prices and rapid antigen test question and answer will be, Scott Morrison's, his gaffe in February, will be rolled out in ads, because the Liberals are certainly running the ads on Albanese's failure to name the national unemployment rate yesterday. So asked, well, how do we know you can run an economy as Prime Minister when you get such simple things right? Well, he pointed out he actually has a Bachelor of Economics, but he also tried to turn the attention on the government's record, particularly when it comes to the accumulation of debt.
Can't be trusted. This is a government that have $1 trillion of debt. This is a government that today have employment projections. They made employment projections before the last election. They said we'd be debt-free by 2030. This is a government that have made 55 projections on wages, and on 52 of them they've been wrong. 52 out of 55 they have been wrong. This is a government that don't have a plan for the economy.
Anthony Albanese earlier in the day, and Andrew, as you know, and we've both been speaking to other senior members of the Labor Party, and they're pretty frank. He's got to find his feet and find his feet fast.
Yes, I mean, it's been put to me that, one experienced operative around the Labor Party says it's not terminal, but he's given away the advantage in this campaign, and I think that's right. But he was reasonably strong today, Human Rights Commissioner Gaffe notwithstanding, and he just needs to keep a strong performance and hold his mettle, really. It becomes a test of nerve. And of course, if you're going to be Prime Minister, Kieran, you need to be able to hold your nerve. So it is a really good test now for Anthony Albanese in the lead up to this election.
So, Andrew, you said that the best form of defence is attack, and he's done that in a few different ways, hasn't he, on economic management, but also on the general approach of Prime Minister Morrison.
That's right, Kieran. So he was asked about what Scott Morrison was talking about yesterday, I believe, the transgender debate in sport, which gets a lot of attention and a lot of concern. He was trying to show here he's not far off the government on this. Scott Morrison's also been talking about returning Alan Tudge to education and a war on left-wing curricula. Well, Anthony Albanese attacked him back over that particular attack and said, get on the core issues.
Scott Morrison yesterday voiced support for a ban on transgender people competing in female sports, and he also said the education curriculum risks being sold out to a left-wing agenda. What's your position on both of these comments?
Well, on the first, he seems to be unaware that it's already covered by the Sex Discrimination Act. Sports already control these things. This Prime Minister needs to do his day job. His day job is about things that he's responsible for, not look for wedges and dividing Australia.
The joys of campaigning, Kieran, not sure where we're going. I think it's Melbourne. I think it's a Victorian seat, and that'll be another job with Anthony Albanese. Not another press conference expected today. Hopefully talk to you a bit later. I've been trying to avoid doing a bus cross, but it seems inevitable this afternoon.